This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Award-winning novelist Tim O'Brien on this edition of Conversations. Tim O'Brien is a critically acclaimed novelist. His books have sold in the millions. His awards and accolades are impressive. His short stories have appeared in some of the nation's most prestigious publications, but mostly he's a storyteller. He's best known for his vivid and powerful story about the Vietnam War. The book, entitled The Things They Carried, was written 20 years ago, but its relevance is no less. The book has become a must-read for many high school and college students, not to mention the men and women who are currently serving their country. The Things They Carried is a convergence of fact and fiction, a story that triggers human emotion. O'Brien's storytelling ability brought to life a transformational time in American history. We're pleased to have Tim O'Brien on this edition of Conversations. Thank you for joining us.
Great pleasure, thank you.
Why write this book?
Well, I served as a foot soldier back during the Vietnam War, a reluctant foot soldier. I was opposed to the war, didn't want to go, but ended up going anyway and ended up serving as an infantryman in the rice paddies and mountains of Quang Ngai province in Vietnam. And came home from the war, as most soldiers will who've actually been in combat, shattered by it all. Everything that I had grown up believing about myself and my country and the world I live in had been turned upside down, like going into a rabbit hole, as many veterans will tell you. And you come back and you take a deep breath and begin the long, probably endless process of recovering from it all, trying to find your bearings and, find yourself again. And as part of that recovery process, I think that it was necessary for me to begin writing. And I began initially writing stories that were true, right out of my own life and the things I'd witnessed, taken part in, and then slowly began moving into the realm of imagination, stories that didn't quite happen, but could have happened. In some cases, should have happened. And gradually, over the course of now what's become 40 years, I'm now just a novelist, a fiction writer.
It was, what, 20 some odd years after you served when you wrote this book? Is that correct?
Well, math wasn't my strong suit, but I'll take your word. It was a long time, I'll take that.
Okay.
It was decades.
It was a long time. Well,
Yeah.
why do you think it took you so long to put it in book form?
Well, I'd written 2 earlier books that were good books about it, but they didn't seem good enough to me. And I had, on top of that, I had so many stories still to tell that hadn't been told in the earlier books. Stories that I was afraid to tell, of embarrassing myself, of saying too much that's personal.
Right.
Stories I hadn't told my brother and my sister and my mom or my dad, that I finally thought, through fiction, kind of removing myself a little bit from it, I can pull the veil back a little bit more on what it is to be a combat soldier. We tend in this country, and probably in all countries, to idolize and glamorize soldiers, and in some cases rightfully so. But there's another side to that coin, which is the dark side, that when you're a soldier, you're killing people, and that's not fun, and it's not good, and it haunts you afterward, even if it's the enemy who's died. And I needed to get some of that off my chest. A dead guy of 16 years old might have been the enemy, but he's still a 16-year-old kid, with whom I probably shared a heck of a lot more than I did with my own admirals and generals and the Kiwanis guys and the people playing golf out at the country club, that dead kid. And I had a lot more in common because we'd gone through the same stuff that a foot soldier goes through. And some of this I just felt I had to write about, the guilt and how my dreams were haunted by it all. What soldiers coming home from Afghanistan and Iraq today are going through right now.
Yeah. How were your dreams haunted?
The dreams were, they were full of slaughter. They were very often they didn't come out of anything real, as dreams don't, but they were born out of the general bloodshed of being in combat for a year. The most vivid dreams I had, though, were dreams of being lost. I'd be in the countryside of Vietnam, and it was nighttime, and I was separated from my fellow soldiers, and I didn't know where I was or where they were. It was like being in Cub Scouts, and you're in a forest, and where's your daddy, and how do you get out of this place? And I had a lot of lost dreams, and I also had a lot of dreams about getting drafted again. That my hometown draft board would call me in the dream, and I say, no, I've done it, get somebody else, I've been there, I don't want to do it again. But they still haul me off for a second time. It's a little bit like the college dreams some people have, where you haven't studied for the test. Right. I had taken the test.
Right. Tell me, for you personally, what was it like when you received your draft notice?
Well, I was a fresh college graduate, and I was in my hometown. I knew it was coming. I was before the lottery. I was back in the days when your hometown draft board just drafted you, and they picked you out personally. It wasn't some number. And I knew it was coming. I didn't have any diseases, and I was physically fit. I was of the right age. And I came in off the golf course one day and went to the mailbox and opened it up, and there was that yellow draft notice. I took it into the kitchen where my mom and dad were having lunch, and I dropped it on the table, and my dad looked at it, and my mom looked at it, and nobody said anything. It was silence. There were the sounds of the, silverware hitting the plate, and that was it for some time. And finally my dad looked up and said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. Just wait." Wait for what? I don't know. Wait for the war to end, for the Paris peace talks to work, for some miracle to save me from this nightmare. And I waited for the next 2 months until it was time to go in the Army, and one day found myself boarding a bus in my hometown with 6 other kids, going to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where you put your hand in the air and you join the Army, and then off to Fort Lewis, Washington, where I went through the standard, boot camp and basic training, and then a thing called AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training, in my case, infantry. This whole time, through the whole process, the summer, the going into the Army, basic and AIT, I kept thinking something will happen. Well, you will not have to go into a war. I mean, I'm a guy who hated Cub Scouts. I didn't like sleeping in the dirt. I never shot a weapon in my life. I had a full ride scholarship to Harvard to go to grad school. I mean, I thought if anybody would be a horrible soldier, it'd be this guy. Mm-hmm. But the Army, in its wisdom, made me a foot soldier. I mean, these big jocks were being turned into truck drivers and typists, and little old me, I'm the guy who had to go out and actually do it. And it felt as if I'd gone to Vegas and had a terrible run of bad luck. I mean, just how could you keep getting so many bad cards over and over again?
Tell me, once you got there, what was it like?
Well, it was pretty much what you'd expect. It was awful. Mm-hmm. Awful in sort of predictable ways in many, blood's awful, and dead friends are awful, and exposed bones are awful, and looking at intestines hanging in a tree, it's awful. And then there are unexpected ways in which it's awful. That, for example, I remember one day seeing a little girl, maybe 7, 8 years old, draped over a paddy dike, dead. And I remember looking at this little girl and her sightless eyes and thinking to myself, well, the world must be a better place. Why did I think that? Well, because that's what wars are purportedly for. We fight them to make the world a better place. Mm-hmm. And you put this dead little girl up against this better place idea. And by better place, we mean all kinds of things. Freedom and democracy and all the good things. But it's hard to put that together with a dead little girl that you're staring at, and you're probably at least partly responsible for. That came as a shock to me, this disjunction between sort of the grand rhetoric with which we go into wars and the reality of it all, which is petty and ugly and doesn't fit neatly into our 4th of July, Veterans Day, rhetoric.
Mm-hmm. What is the biggest misconception that someone who has never been in combat, what is the biggest misconception they have about war, in your judgment?
I think the biggest misconception is it's glamorous. I had it. I grew up in little Worthington, Minnesota, reading, comic books that came out of my father's war, World War II, kind of G.I. Joe comic books. Went to the John Wayne movies and the Audie Murphy movies, Clint Eastwood movies, feeling there must be something glamorous about it, where you're full of a kind of self-congratulation and pride. When the reality of it all, for I'm not alone in this, any combat veteran will tell you that the realities are so much uglier, so much more base, so much meaner. You're 19 years old and your friends are dying around you, you get mean. And you stay mean for sometimes after the war. You get cynical about authority, you get cynical about yourself, you get cynical about the world you live in. And again, that stuff doesn't fit into the rhetoric the celebratory rhetoric we use to talk about wars. What war comes down to in the end, I think, is one guy saying to another guy, "You are so wrong, and I am so right that I'm going to kill you." When you think about it, that's why you do it. You don't go to kill wars if you don't think you're for wars. You do it because of some kind of absolutism and a sense of certainty that I never really feel much about the world around me. I'm uncertain about everything. Somebody asked me my name. I mean, what was it again? And it takes such absolutism and such certainty to go off killing people that I'm astonished by it, and to this day remain astonished by it. I'm wearing this white shirt today that I wear on purpose, even though on TV you're not supposed to wear white shirts.
Yes.
But I wear it on purpose because my wife bought this for me at a J.C. Penney's in Austin, Texas, right off I-35. And in the back of the shirt, there's a little tab that says "Made in Vietnam." And I'm thinking, made in Vietnam, bought in a J.C. Penney's 45 years after this war is over, that so many people died in, 3 million Vietnamese, almost 60,000 Americans, all the orphans, all the widows, all the Gold Star mothers, all the grieving fathers. And what's the result of it all? Shirt bought in a J.C. Penney's, made in Vietnam. Tourists going to Vietnam now. High school kids bicycling up and down Highway 1. Businesses booming. American business in Vietnam. Vietnam, like almost all wars, was sold to us as a pending catastrophe. If we don't go off and win this war, if we don't kill enough people, there'll be catastrophe. That's how it was, like all wars are sold that way. Catastrophe? Where's the catastrophe? The catastrophe is the war itself. All those dead people. That old lady in Orlando right now who wakes up every night at 2 in the morning and says, "Where's my baby? Where's my son?" And the answer is her son's been dead 40 years. But for her, the war's not over. The catastrophe continues for her. So it's a long answer to your great question, and a kind of a inky answer at that. But the general answer is I've grown skeptical of war itself, of its that it can accomplish the things that we want war to accomplish. Does that make me an absolute peacenik? Of course not. There are certain things that are worth fighting for, and you have to fight for them. You have no choice. But for every example like that, a World War II, There are plenty of other examples. The Mexican-American War, the war in the Philippines, my own war of Vietnam, the Trojan Wars, a war to go off, a guy steals somebody else's wife, and they have a decade of war going to Troy. These days we get divorced, then they were killing thousands of people. So I think one of the good things for me to come out of my experience in Vietnam was I'm more skeptical. I'm not that kid now sort of glamorizing it all and saying, oh, and puffing myself up over it, that it's really an ugly thing.
What message did you want to send with this book?
Well, that's one of them.
That's one.
What I just had to say.
Yeah.
But for everything I just said, I'm not really a political guy. I'm most interested in that book and all my other books in exploring just the individual human psychology, the feel of what does it feel like to look into the mountains and know that in an hour you're going to have to cross a river and go up into those mountains and maybe die or maybe kill somebody. And you're 18, 19, 20 years old. And and to get that feel of imminent doom, that sense of mortality that comes, of your own mortality that comes on you. All the political stuff is utterly forgotten. It's you and those mountains and that river and the rifle in your hands, and the world shrinks. All the politics and the reasons for the war evaporate. They don't exist. You don't think, oh, I'm going to go kill communists, and you don't think that way. You shrink inside yourself, and partly you're a little boy, scared out of your mind, and partly you're a young adult who's trying to comport himself with some dignity in horrible circumstances, so you don't start crying or just fall on the ground and wail, trying to keep yourself together so that you can actually make your legs move and go up into the mountains and do the things that you've been told to do.
In this book, I mentioned in the intro that it was kind of a sort of a bringing together of fact and fiction. Tell me about some of the characters in here.
Well, the characters they're invented, but they grow out of real people. There's a fellow, for example, in the book whose nickname is Kiowa. It's an American Indian name, tribal name. My best friend was in Vietnam, but I didn't know him in Vietnam. I met him well after the war was over. He's an American Indian, half Japanese. And I wanted to base a character on this friend of mine, even though I didn't see him and wasn't with him in Vietnam. I could imagine how he would comport himself. He's a very religious guy, and he a very quiet sort of person inside himself. And I wanted to put him in a book and watch him walk beside me, throughout the stories that happen in the book. Partly as a kind of companion, but partly to watch him, because he has a dignity and a way of holding himself that I thought would have been really reinforcing to me if he'd been with me in Vietnam, if I'd had him as a buddy in Vietnam. He, in the book, sleeps with a New Testament as a pillow, and his father is a Sunday school teacher, and yet he's also an incredibly good soldier. He's a moral man, but also a good soldier. He's one of many characters in the book.
Tell me about the platoon leader.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I found it interesting because he was just really going through some struggles.
Well, Jimmy Cross is the platoon leader, yeah, and the book opens with Jimmy carrying in his mouth a little pebble that had been sent to him from a girl back in the United States.
Martha.
Yeah. And she picked this pebble up along the Jersey shoreline, and as a way of keeping her with him as he goes through the horrors of Vietnam, he just has this pebble in his mouth throughout the opening pages of the book. Martha doesn't love him. He loves her, but she doesn't love him back. And throughout the first chapter of the book, he comes to the realization that she lives in another world, a world that she hasn't had access to, which is the world of combat and of the terror he's going through. the purposelessness of it all, village to village, and what's the point of it all. A world that will ultimately be foreign to her, and is foreign to her. And it's a sad story. It's a story of unrequited love, but it's also a story of how there's always going to be a great gulf or a great gap between those who have to do the nation's fighting, actually do it. That is, go into the jungles and kill people. And sort of the cheerleaders, the rest of America, you know, all the citizenry, who aren't actually doing it. And you come back from a war like this, and you feel like a foreigner in your own country because they haven't gone through what you've gone through. They applaud you, and they'll slap you in the back, and they'll say thank you for your service. But they don't have the slightest idea what they're thanking you for, because if they did know, they wouldn't thank you. They'd be aghast at the stuff you do. If you told them literally what it is, it's glamorized in their heads. But if you told them literally how I shot that little boy in the head today, they'd stare at you thinking, how can you live with yourself, and why a little boy? Mm-hmm. And it's hard to explain. Well, I was terrified, and it happened in an instant, and he had a weapon, or I thought he had a weapon, but instead, it gets this kind of this veneer of glamour around it. That for those who come back from the war, you want to shake somebody and say, "It's not that way. It's not that way." It's not full of all this patriotic platitude stuff. It's a lot worse than that. And so the gulf between Martha and Jimmy is one way that I tried to represent this.
What sort of feedback do you get from veterans after they read this book? And not just Vietnam veterans, but veterans who have been in subsequent...
Well, I hear a lot more now from guys coming back from Afghanistan and earlier from Iraq. Right. A lot, I'd say 90% more. It's a lot of people carry that book around in their rucksacks because it's saying somebody else has gone through what I'm going through, and somebody else can feel what I felt. And I've got a friend in the world who feels the way I feel. And the most moving letter I ever had was not from a soldier at all. It was from a 26-year-old elementary school teacher in my home state of Minnesota. And she wrote, it was a woman, and she wrote me saying, you know, I've been wanting to write you for years, but now I have to. And I'll summarize this quickly, but it was a long letter. It was like a 40-page letter, 50-page letter. It was long. But the upshot was that she lived in a household where her father basically didn't talk as she was growing up in her elementary and junior high years. And she dreaded going to dinner. She dreaded sitting there through the silences and the kind of anger that's submerged in her father. She said one day she went into the basement and she found a little box that contained relics of her father's war, Vietnam. And she realized, well, her dad had been in Vietnam. Near the middle of her letter, she said her mother came up to her one day and said, you know, I've never really loved your dad. And the daughter said, what? Why did you marry him? And the mother said, I married him out of pity. He came back from the war. I knew him in college, and he came back just so destroyed by it all that I married him. Then when the girl was in high school, she was assigned the things they carried. She brought it home, read it, left it on a coffee table. And her dad saw it and picked it up and read it. And a couple of nights later at the dinner table, where the silence had been so tense and terrible, he began saying a few things about his own experience. And the mother said something about her experience during the war. And the conversation went on over the next months. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough where the family the ice was sort of broken, and they began talking. Well, near the end of her letter, the woman said to me, that was years and years ago. I've been wanting to write you a long time. And I got to tell you, my mom and dad aren't perfect to this day, but they're still together. And I don't think they would have been if that book hadn't been lying on that coffee table. Well, that's an example of a letter that'll break my heart. It makes me tear up now, because that's in the end what books are really for. They're not to be studied. They're to move your heart, make a difference in a life, and sometimes in very modest ways, just little small ways, and sometimes in big ways. But you do it through, not through intellectual argumentation and debate and things like this. You do it through story, and you do it through touching somebody's heart somehow, so you can feel something that maybe you didn't feel before.
That's, well, you did a wonderful job with this, and of course, obviously, because it's still extremely popular some 20 years after you have written it.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I only have about a minute and a half left. What are you working on for the future?
Well, despite the old man that I've become now, I've got 2 kids. I've got a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. And I'm working on a book about being an older father, okay, which is a war in itself in some ways. It may kill me or it may keep me young, one of the two. And it's about some of the things that The Things They Carried is about. It's about facing your own mortality. Yeah. We're all going to die, but we all push it aside. We don't think about it. We couldn't, we just go through our lives. But you lie in bed at night with a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, and you realize you're 67 years old, and where are you going to be 20 years from now? And where are they going to be, these nice, beautiful, gentle kids? And there's a sadness to it that's reminiscent of how I felt in Nam. The sadness of mortality. And that's what I'm writing about.
When will it be out? Any idea?
God knows. I have to finish it first.
Okay.
So it'll be a while.
It'll be a while. Well, Tim, it was a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
The name of the book is The Things They Carried. I would encourage you to pick it up and give it a read. This gentleman is an excellent storyteller. Certainly give you a kind of a different thought on what you may or may not have thought about Vietnam along the way. Tim O'Brien, The Things They Carried is the name of the book. By the way, you can see more of our conversations online at wsre.org/conversations. We're also flying around YouTube and on Facebook, all that fun social media stuff. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take great care of yourself. We'll see you soon.
Support for this program is provided in part by these corporate sponsors. And by viewers like you.